Hey everyone, it's the Popcorn Pro, and a side note, happy Mother's Day to all the amazing women in our lives. But for the sake of amusement, I have to clip a horror movie Mother's Day death.
That's the country.
Mom? Are you okay?
Hey, kiddo.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. After still seeing Tarot, my brain is still bashing that film. Anyway, let's get into the review of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a new story and continuation in the franchise. So this is the movie and is the sequel to Caesar trilogy and all the other past films, and was directed by Wes Ball, which he's known mostly for The Maze Runner, seriously, which to me was subpar movies at best. So in a lot of my social media posts, it was a concern for me if he could handle an IP of this caliber. Another thing was when Disney acquired Fox, I was also a little concerned on what route this could take moving forward, especially with such a good franchise, and this also startled me. Even if it's real or fake, I don't need a Marvel Cinematic Universe type of Planet of the Apes. And this is ending up to be a cash grab. I do hope that image is fake though, and that is not the case. Well, let's get into the actual review of the film. Let's start with the synopsis. Many years after the reign of Caesar, a young ape goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything he's been taught about the past, and make choices that will define a future for apes and humans alike. So starting with the positives, for starters I will say that the CGI still remains top tier. Whatever this team is doing, they are still continuing amazing and immersive CGI and motion capture work that still does not take me out of the experience. I also like how they did not continue Caesar's story, but instead just taking the leap 300 years into the future, which is great because we know what happened in the last trilogy, and it was put together in such a way, in a clean GIF-wrapped bundle, that now we are on a new adventure, and we are in the know somewhat of what's going on, but at the same time, there's room to build and grow. This also allows our new group of characters to discover who Caesar actually was, and if his rules and ideologies are being portrayed 300 years later in the proper way. Which brings me into my next positive. I love the antagonist in this movie, who is playing Proximus Caesar. It's a shame he's introduced later in the movie rather than sooner, which I will get into my mix and negatives. But the way they approach his character and how he has heard through the grapevine what Caesar was all about, and tries to manipulate the other apes, was very realistic on what could happen in this scenario. It's like that game Telephone we used to play as kids, and he was clearly given the wrong information standing at the end of the line. And he definitely knows this, and he uses it to accomplish his goals, while another group of apes are trying to follow what Caesar actually intended for the apes, which was a great dynamic, I must admit. Another positive is definitely how, unlike the last trilogy, which had big cast names and all of these front-runner actors and actresses, this one has none of that. And for the most part, they really do a good job, especially our lead protagonist Noah, who's played by Owen Teague. He's a completely different character than Caesar, but has his own flair that after sitting and thinking on the movie, I can get behind him. I also talked about Proximus Caesar, our antagonist of the movie, who is played by Kevin Durant phenomenally.
What a wonderful day! What a wonderful day! What a wonderful day! What a wonderful day! What a wonderful day!
He actually has motive, and even though his acts are questionable at times, he has this charisma, and as an audience member, you can see what he's trying to accomplish all by starting a semi-religious cult. The movie even made me laugh a couple times without going overboard and ruining the overall vibe of the film, which is a hard balance to do as a filmmaker.
You serious?
So I was definitely pleasantly surprised by that. Moving on to my mixed, and I struggle to put my first one in here, and the only time will tell if it changes for me. Although I like Noah, our lead protagonist, I'm not sure if I'm fully behind his character yet. His development was nowhere near as clean and fleshed out as they did Caesar, especially in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which is my favorite. If you didn't already watch that video that came out a couple days ago, definitely watch that. I just feel like there was a way to set him up better, which we will talk about in the negative aspects, which is a huge flaw I have with the film. And my last mix is our human character, May. In Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, this character falls somewhere between compelling and forgettable. On one hand, May's internal struggles add depth to the narrative, but on the other hand, her development feels rushed and unexplored, leaving her feeling like a missed opportunity rather than a fully realized character. One of May's strengths lies in her complex backstory, which I won't spoil, but her internal conflict torn between her loyalty to her own species and her empathy for the apes is intriguing, and could have been a driving force for the narrative. However, where May falls short, it's in her execution within the story. Her character development feels rushed, with pivotal moments in her arc glossed over, or just not explored in general. This lack of depth leaves May feeling like a placeholder rather than a fully fleshed out character, unlike James Franco in Rise. Additionally, her interactions with other characters often lack chemistry or emotional punch, further detracting from her impact on the story. She does have the potential to be a compelling figure, but to me, I felt her underdeveloped arc and lackluster execution prevent her from standing out in a movie filled with great characters, even though May was highlighted very heavily in the marketing. Now moving on to my negatives, which to me is what is really holding back the film for me. Like I said before and on social media, it is a good movie, no doubt. But Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes really does suffer from serious pacing issues that detract from the overall viewing experience. Director Wes Ball's handling of tension is particularly problematic, as he often undermines suspense with abrupt shifts in pacing. Scenes that should be rife with tension suddenly lose their impact, leaving audience members I've talked to disengaged, and in some cases bored. And this isn't just in the first act, this proceeds through a good chunk of the runtime. One glaring example of this is the tunnel sequence, which should have been a thrilling set piece, but instead resulted in a friend of mine I went with actually dozing off until the full third act comes back into sight. Ball fails to maintain momentum throughout the sequence, leading to a lack of investment in the outcome. The pacing issues extend beyond individual scenes, affecting the film's overall flow and cohesion. Wes Ball's previous filmography also raises questions about his place for directing Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, in my opinion. While he may have demonstrated skill in helming young adult dystopian films like the Maze Runner series, which is still mid, his lack of experience with large-scale effects and heavy blockbusters is apparent. The nuanced storytelling and complex character dynamics of the Planet of the Apes franchise requires a director with finesse, and Ball's background may not have prepared him for this task. In addition to pacing issues and directorial concerns, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes suffers from other shortcomings. The screenplay, while ambitious in scope, struggles to balance multiple storylines and character arcs, and this results in a disjointed narrative, and certain plot points feel contrived or underdeveloped, robbing the film of emotional depth and thematic depth. Kingdom of the Apes fails to live up to its potential due to pacing issues, directorial missteps, and narrative shortcomings. While there are elements to appreciate such as impressive visual effects and strong performances, they're overshadowed by the film's fundamental flaws in the end. This really is a tough rating for me because there's so much good, but there is also so much hindering the experience. So for my rating, I'm giving it a half bag and 6.8 kernels out of 10. On my personal perspective, of course. I would wait to stream it. Unless you're a diehard Planet of the Apes fans, there is a lot to enjoy here, so if you have the extra cash, you definitely should see it on the big screen. I really wanted to give this movie a better rating, but with my mixed and negatives, I could not with a full conscience give this movie an honest score, just because of the IP we are looking at. To me, the apes still reign, but the future can only tell if they continue to. They set something up real nice, and I hope the next installment can build and learn from the mixed and negatives I talked about. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share with your other movie-loving friends, and make sure to tune in for Thursday Blast to the Past, The Phantom Menace, and my review for The Strangers next weekend, which I really hope surprises me. Have a great Mother's Day, and this is the Popcorn Pro, signing out.
Thinking far off me, you damn 38!
No!